All right, here we are. And I'm excited to look at this conversation as it's really important. It's an important conversation because there is a deep rooted seed that needs to be uncovered. And because it can hide in different ways, we are missing the mark. We are missing the mark of what is actually happening. And so I want to get into this conversation that leads to good. Right, here we are. And I'm excited to look good versus evil. And as we get into it, I want to bring forward a friend of mine. We've been in this conversation for a couple years now because I heard him once say that racism wasn't real. And so we've been in this conversation. And eventually it got to, I sent him a video. And here's the video. The video is a grandmom and her grandson-in-law. And he asked her, hey, can you please give the real count of what you thought about me at first? And she was like, are you sure? Because you might get mad at me. And she said, okay. Well, first, I didn't think you were good for our family because you were black and we were white. And then you got married to my granddaughter. And I thought, oh no, it's a problem. She's marrying into a black family. And she said, and then I got to know you. And I love you like a son. I love you as much as I could love anybody else. And they hugged and he was laughing the whole time. Like he could see it. Just no offense to the little lady because she seemed like a very nice little lady, but he could see the ignorance of it. And so he was just going to be himself and let that unfold. And it did unfold into that. And so I sent it and I changed the word from racism. Do you think, what about this colorism? This color part that's a problem. And he's, oh yeah, there's definitely colorism. I said, oh, gotcha. Because if you have colorism, you have racism. Because colorism is actually a derivative of racism. And because we have racism and our children don't understand it, we're running into problems because they don't get it. They're behaving in the world like the racism of old, and now their lives are in jeopardy. And that's what this conversation is about. It's not just about racism, it's sexism, it's genderism, it's all of it. And if you have it and you're leaning on it and it is at the detriment of another human being, you're part of the problem. Because what we're really talking about, if we get down to nuts and bolts, taxes, and all those things, we're talking about good versus evil. And when are we going to recognize that people are participating in the evil and it's time to do something different? That's why it took so long to introduce this. And I'm excited for this conversation because it's time for us to move beyond the evil taking place in the world. And because it has many different names, most people won't look at it as black and white, evil. Evil versus good. That's the root. And if we get there, we get beyond the root, we will start to heal this world. But we actually have to have the conversations and we have to understand how the evil is hiding in many different names and labels. All right, let's get started. I'm ready. Peace.
When I am asked to speak, I embrace the calling. It is my responsibility to make sure to leave everyone inspired to elevate in all aspects of life. In the 26 states and 10 countries, it has been my energy that is infectious and magical. The impact elevates everyone to new heights. It's time to conquer our challenges. Relationships across the board, communication gaps, fear of the unknown, limited beliefs, and all that holds us hostage in life. The path to power is peace, and peace is the power to live by. The unique perspective that I bring to the table inspires all professionals, executives, students, coaches, and athletes to reach their highest potential. That is why I, Sid McNary, am known as the secret weapon. Whether it is tackling mental health issues, success in business, or winning at life, every moment counts. Get ready to receive the tools to win. It's time to win at everything. Let's connect today. Peace.
Hello, my name is Miles. Discover a powerful journey of resilience, purpose, and spiritual growth in the autobiography of a human by Sid McNary. In this compelling autobiography, McNary shares the personal challenges and triumphs that shaped his path to success while offering insight for professionals seeking deeper meaning and balance in their own lives. Drawing from his experiences growing up Catholic, participating in indigenous vision quests, and studying the Buddhist path, he reveals how diverse spiritual traditions ultimately guide us toward the same destination: connection with the Creator and our highest selves. Through practices such as meditation, yoga, and spirit medicine, McNary demonstrates how life's victories and hardships can become opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and lasting peace. The autobiography of a human is more than a memoir. It is an inspiring reflection for professionals striving to align purpose, personal development, and inner clarity. Available now on Amazon, this transformative story invites readers to reflect, grow, and step confidently onto their own path of self-discovery and peace.
All right, here we are, ready for this conversation, excited for this conversation, because I think the more this conversation starts to come up, we will start to erase the crap that has been holding us back in humanity, and it's time for us to move forward together. So let's get everybody up and clicking as we are on the screen. There we go. All right, this is where we are. Welcome, fellas. And
what's up, gents?
Hey, gentlemen, what's up?
The full house today. Woo-hoo.
Yes. Before we even get started, I want to request that we are short in our comments, because I know all of us could probably riff on this for about an hour. And so,
Never.
so that we can hear from everybody, and we can definitely touch base on a lot of different things. And as you heard me start it off, and that's why I went long there, so that we could just be in it. The first and foremost, can we recognize all the isms? Can we see them in the world? Sexism, genderism, racism, political isms. Like, can we see that? Does everyone starting there, can everybody recognize that that is actually happening in our world?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that Tony can, because he brought up something that made sense, that he recognizes it. And I look at, all right, so now we have all the isms. And where have you seen it in your own life? Like, I've seen it so much. I saw racism so much moving from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to California, back to Baton Rouge, over to DC, into the Midwest, all through the Midwest from 1988 till 2001, then back to DC, then over to Florida, went to, I'm going to say it because I heard it, the Redneck Riviera. I went over there to live for a while. Definitely saw racism on a whole nother level. Drove through Alabama, David Duke's restaurant, saw racism, got chased, all types of stuff. I've seen racism. It's not like it was yesterday. Well, fortunately it wasn't yesterday, but it's not like it was 100 years ago. I've seen it, and I haven't come close to 100. And I've seen it up until, gosh, I've seen it within the last year. I've seen it so much that, unfortunately, my wife, who is cream, and she's not white, she's cream because my teeth are white. My wife, who's cream, has seen it now because she's been in it. Like, it's real, and obviously she's a woman, so she obviously already saw genderism and sexism and that kind of thing. So that I've just seen it all over my life, like all over, with the evil that resides in the world. So I'm gonna start there, but I'd love to know where you've seen any of the isms in your life.
Sorry, I had to take a call, but listen, I've I've seen felt the ism on different fronts. Everything from hell, my name is Tony Rodriguez, right? So all of a sudden everybody thinks I'm Mexican or whatever. And, so depending on what circles you're running with, it doesn't really bother me that much because I know who I am. So if I'm the wrong person to have a battle of the wits with, let's just say that, in any front of if somebody's attacking culturally or whatever it is, because I can hold my own. We'll just say that. But I have had the instance where I've been hanging out. This was years ago. I was hanging out with some black friends, and when I went to the bathroom, when I was coming back through the bar, I felt it because we were in Colorado or something, and I felt it. It was palpable, and I felt that rage. Now I've had some occasions where I've been told that black people can't be racist, and I pushed back. As a matter of fact, that person is no longer comes into that clubhouse room that we normally have. You know exactly who it is. If I gave you a tip, I know who it is. But it was just interesting. But I had this back and forth with her. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anybody can be racist. And there's a difference between racism and prejudice. And everyone has. It's a human nature to like people who are like ourselves. Period. Psychologically, and this goes for all of us, regardless of where you're from, what language you speak. We all like people who are like ourselves, right? Our mind looks for that. And if there's somebody that looks like you, automatically you're gonna be like, oh, I like that person. Or they don't look like you, you're like, okay, let me step back. And it has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with color. That's just the way it is. That's psychology. So our brains are pre-wired to like more what we're familiar with. What we're familiar with, we tend to be scared of, or we tend to do whatever. Now, obviously, when it breaks down to racism, then that's just ignorance and hate. And I say ignorance because people just don't understand, because the few bad apples don't mean that everyone that you're going to cut down the damn apple tree. But unfortunately, in some cultures, there's more than a few, and it depends on people's personal experiences. I grew up in Newark. I grew up in the inner city, and I can tell you that the people that I had a problem with did not look like me, right? So I had some hurdles to overcome as well. And I've recently read something. This is what I mentioned, and I know I'm putting a lot on the table, but I figured I'd lay it all out, and we can dissect and get into different conversations. But what I had said before the recording started is I recently, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. And it basically said this: if you're proud of your race or your heritage, whether you're African American, you're South American, you're Mexican, you're from the islands, you're from wherever you're from Turkey, you're whatever your religion, if you're proud of your identity, and if you're proud of being where you're from, you're proud of your race, and you're proud of your heritage, and you have a problem with white people being proud of theirs, you're a racist. And that is an excellent observation, because how can you be proud of who you are and what you look like and have a problem with somebody else being proud of who they are and what they look like? So I'll leave it there.
Right on. Yeah. Someone else. What you got?
Oh, I'll go. Yeah, I grew up in a black neighborhood when I was first born. I spent the first 5 years there, and
Where was that?
Inglewood,
Nice.
California. And I was surprised. I didn't know what color was, really. I mean, obviously I knew I was different, but there were some kids on the block that accepted me, and people that accepted me and talked to me. And then I also got weird looks. And so it was interesting from a childhood age to experience that on the reverse and sit there and wonder what was going on. I think when you look at good and evil, I said it last week, is you look at love versus fear, right? And you look at, you take it to the root level and you go ego. I'm being threatened. I feel threatened by the person that looks different than me or sounds different than me or subscribes to a different sexual philosophy or whatever it might be. And so I think once you start getting to the ego and you start getting to the fact that we often don't like in others that we don't like in ourselves, and we put the mirror up to ourselves, it's pretty interesting what you can ascertain about yourself.
Awesome. Next.
Thank you. Dr. Vibe, go. I feel you.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a different slant to this. Of course, I've experienced racism, and still do, but I'm gonna go to another slant: classism.
Yeah.
In fact, when people are in certain classes, especially that are above you, the way they treat you because you're not in their alleged level. I think more and more these days, on top of the racism, all those things, unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic society, and whether good or not, capitalism has its goods and some not so goods. That's just my take. More and more, we are judging people by class, saying, "Oh, that person up on the stage, they must be amazing." Da 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 da. But we know amazing people at our level, and sometimes the people who are above us, allegedly class-wise, their isms come on to us because we're not at their alleged level.
Good point.
And I will feed into that. It's racism, it's classism, it's different isms. But we can't ignore that racism still exists. It's still happening. A lot of things is systematic. Matter of fact, I'm dealing with a similar issue, and I don't want to use race because I'm not for sure if it's race, but I'm just having an issue just trying to book a particular venue in regards to an organization I'm a part of. Have not been getting called back. I've sent 2 different people up there and just a response. So I ain't gonna say it's racism, but once again, it could be classism. It could be a difference of understanding, different opinion. But here in this country, it's facts. Racism is alive. It's still going. I've met people, and my dad, stepdad, came from Trinidad. And I remember him telling me he really didn't know what racism was until he came to America.
Wow.
I got friends from Jamaica. They really didn't know what racism was until they came to America.
Mm-hmm.
So 65 to 70% of most African-American Black people has experienced some form of microaggression. I shared on the podcast a couple episodes ago, at age 14 years old, I was pulled over in an all-white town on my bike and said that I did a non-violation by running a stop sign. But there's so many different scenarios, but it does exist. And we got to acknowledge it and we got to recognize it, but we also have to call it for what it is.
Yeah, I want to just jump in and say that there is. Now, is it real? That's a whole deeper conversation, because what's real is when 2 or more agree in my Father's name, so it shall be. So racism's real because 2 or more people have agreed over hundreds and thousands of years in that space. If 2 people agree, it becomes real. That just is what it is. And so is there racism? Yes, it's here and it's alive and it's well. And if you don't believe it, start looking at the things around. All these kids that are recently being murdered, whether they are just aggression because a kid like Nolan Wells, the kid's been beaten at a party and they went too far and then they hide it. And they go out to dinner with the judge mom and set up all the protocols. Don't get on your phone. Hide the kid's phone. Not only is it racism, it's downright freaking evil. And it becomes racism when some people that look like them turn the other way and not say anything. That's when it starts to creep into that. But regardless, it's evil. And so then at some point we have to let go of, and this is where it comes to the men's circle, let go of being passive, especially men, and start standing up. really standing up, because like we were talking about it in the men's circle today, it came up about Adam and Eve. Like who was the original sinner? Most people would say it was Eve because she ate the apple. But the guys that were running it said, what about the passive Adam who knew not to do it and let the snake talk to his wife and let her eat the apple in the first place if he knew better? So there it is. Like at some point, we can no longer be Adams of the world and have to say as men, no, it's good versus evil. And I'm gonna err on the side of good.
I hear what you're saying, Sid, and I love that. I want to ask a question to the group. I have a 9-year-old son, and of course I've seen him and witnessed him go through schools and lots of camps and lots of Boy Scouts, all sorts of different things. And I have never once really seen any type of racism in kids. I've seen, I live here in Southern California, which is a huge melting pot. We go to lots of events. Do you guys think that perhaps, and maybe I pray this to the world every day, do you think perhaps that some of this is hopefully going to subside as this younger generation becomes older, and perhaps this is the older people that are still subscribed to the rules and the ideologies from their parents back in the day? Because I feel and I pray that the kids of today, as they get older, that will hopefully see a reduction in especially racism. I mean, we were talking about good versus evil, but I was curious what you guys think about that with your respective families and what you've seen in your communities.
I got to say, Dr. Vibe, jump in this because I see Dr. Vibe.
Yeah,
that's another hour-long response, but I'll condense it. I have hope like you, Chris. It just depends with this next generation coming up. There's still going to be a class that rules. It's how much is this young generation who has that energy to knock down the wall, so to speak, will they keep that as they advance in age? Because a lot of times as people get older, they get more conservative and set in their ways. My hope is, and I hope I'm making sense here, I hope that the energy that they have now will continue. The social justice that many of them have now will continue when they're 30, 40, 50. Will they learn from a number of mistakes that some of us in our generation and ahead of us have made and said, you know what? 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah. But I am hopeful.
What you got?
So
awesome. Love that.
A couple of different pieces with that. First off, there's always going to be a ruling class, Dr. Vibe. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
People that it's capitalism, and honestly, there is nothing at this point that beats capitalism and by way of freedom and opportunity to be able to do what you can. What we need to do is we need to stop encouraging people. Remember that 1%, the 99% against the 1%. We got to encourage people to want to go from the 99 to the 1 instead of demonizing the 1%. Instead of demonizing the wealthy people, we need to teach our kids and encourage them to build, to do, to create, so that they can become part of the people that do have more and can do more and can participate and be part of that ruling class. And what we need to stop doing is that we need to stop putting people in positions of ruling that shouldn't be there because they don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge. There's a little too much of that. And again, not to get too far into politics of it, but we see it happening day by day. To your point, Christopher, I would say that, what grade your son in? Fourth grade?
He's going into 4th. Yes.
Okay. So the way I've always said it, up until the 5th grade, all kids are good. They don't really see anything. But when the hormones start to come in, that's when you start. Right now, your kid is playing with all the kids. There's no big separation. But when the hormones start to kick in, there start to be little cliques, and the boys and the girls, and this group of boys and that group of boys. And that, because up until 4th grade, everybody gets along with each other. 5th grade and beyond is when you have the clique. So you're going to start seeing, unfortunately, Chris, that's just human nature. You're going to start seeing that show up. Now, with that said, if a child your son's age is racist, there's only one reason for that. It's their parents.
Right.
That's the only reason, because they don't have enough life experience to be able to say one thing or another, aside from the fact that if they've never seen an African American person. They've never seen a Chinese person. They're going to like, oh, and it's going to be something different and weird and something to kind of be curious about and maybe even be afraid of if that's the type of kid that they are. So moving forward, I think that, and hopefully that we are evolving as a nation. But what I see is that you have politics, you have legacy media, you have Hollywood, and you have the music industry perpetuating hate, anger, and yes, racism. It's being kept alive by the system because when people divide are easier controlled than people that are united. And that's the unfortunate reality of what we're seeing. And we as men have to take a role in that and say, hey, we can do better. We need to be better. And there's certain communities that they themselves have to take ownership of the stuff that they're doing in their community because they need to improve the community. We need to stop this idea of the ghetto culture, which, by the way, isn't a black and white thing, because God knows there's ghettos of every color everywhere in the world, whether it's, the white ghetto of the trailer park, or whether it's the Hispanic, gangs, or whether it's the in the black community or whatever it is. We need to do better within that. We need to have education first, and we need to start holding people accountable. Why I often talk about accountability, there's not enough accountability to the people that are doing bad shit. And if you commit a crime, don't care whether it's black on white, white on white, black on black, treat it all the same and penalize people the same way. And those who get in the way of that should be held, their feet should be held to the fire as well.
So I'm going
to
respond to this as well. And I agree, Tony, with the parent. And I experienced racism when I was born. Like they brought in news cameras to find the prettiest white baby. They found me. And they had already offered and said on TV that the mom of the child would automatically get a job. Therefore, my mom ended up going to a Klan school to teach. Now, because it was on the news, they prepped their children to behave differently. Therefore, when they met my mom, they years later were sending her Christmas cards because they knew she changed their lives from what they would have had from their parents. And so, can a child pick it up? Like Tony said, I think it's going to come from parents. Unless something happens that's like smacked on accident and now you're scared of a dog that charges because you got smacked by a dog. Same thing could happen with a human to human contact in that way. And how it's going to shift, and only shift for your son and his generation, is if the parents have shifted, if the teachers have shifted, if the coaches have shifted, and they're educating differently. Because it's the environment that child is growing up in that is formulating what that child will become. And so that's really how that shows up for me. And it's I cross classes all the time. And what I mean by that is I teach a donation-based yoga class. I teach at a mid-level gym, and then I go teach at $185 million gym. So I teach in all those spaces. And what I can say is, with the exception of the donation-based, where you just come because you want to, and you donate, give whatever you can, whatever you want, and everyone comes because they recognize the class. But when I walk through that gym, there are people that looked at me like I got four eyes. Now, who knows why? Because I haven't sat there and said, hey, man, a lot of times I will say, is there something you need to say? Like, do we need to have a conversation? Oh, no, I was actually trying to look at the TV or whatever that may be. But I address it in the moment. Now, I haven't addressed it in the $185 million place because I've only been there for a couple weeks, but I've already seen, and I don't take it personally. I may say hi to some people, and some of them are just head down, angry face, moving through. And I even said it to my wife today as we were watching people driving that were chaotic. And I was like, well, we don't know. Maybe that lady just lost her mom.
Right.
And she's distracted. So the more I can come from this place of compassion for the possibility of what this potentially ignorant person is doing.
Yeah.
Like, it might be ignorant to their situation. It might be ignorant to the fact that they've never seen a black person. It might be ignorant to all different types of stuff. if I can have compassion, I am the reason it shifts. That's what comes up for me.
I love that. Thank you. Beautiful.
And I'd like to tune in, chime in on that in regards to racism. I agree with you, gentlemen, wholeheartedly. It does start at home. It starts with the parents. Last year, my wife and I, we went to surprise our daughter. Actually, it was a birthday surprise for my wife. I took her to Paris. And from there, we flew over to the UK to see my daughter, who's in the Air Force. And we was downtown. And I remember being downtown, crossing the street, and a young girl from the UK, probably about 4 or 5 years old, she pointed to my wife and she said, "Hey, mommy, that's a ninja, I'm going to just say."
Whoa.
Right. And my daughter and my wife, we all looked at each other and kind of just looked at the mother and father and just looked at the child. And that moment let me know, man, once again, it starts at home. For that child to even learn that word and even to say that and they feel comfortable, once again, this is something that's constantly been told and been instructed around the kid. Sid said something that was very profound. It also starts in schools. You got teachers, you got educators that's teaching the curriculum and also maybe emasculating students in a way that that student have no clue
Right.
what they're saying to them. You can't dream. If you dream too big, they may try to redirect your focus on something they want you to be. So it starts at so many levels. Even in coaching, we can talk about coaching and the football industry. We have a dominant NFL that's pretty much 90% white on, but yet it makes up 50% of African-American people of color. Only 2 minority owners. They're not even African-American. They're people of color, whether it's from Pakistan or Asian. Don't have to say that's racism, but we know it's definitely a systematic issue with that. So it starts at so many levels. And we talk about the entertainment, that we can go on and on about the entertainment. That's control. But it also goes back to good and evil. As we know about the story of Satan, Satan was one of the most angelic angels. So when it comes to entertainment and when it comes to that voice, the entertainment industry is compromised by evil.
100%.
Exist everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. If I can just jump in on that. So you said a couple of things that were important. That in school, they're emasculating kids. They are. They're feminizing women, emasculating kids. And the worst, one of the bad things that's happening is they're also, again, there's something out there right now called that is hurting society. Number one, it's suicidal empathy. Right? If you guys may have heard that before, that's, all of the, as an example, the trans people for Palestine. That's suicidal empathy, right? Because if they were to go there, they're going to be eliminated, right? So we have a little bit of that going on with a lot of the immigration stuff that's happening. And then we have and that's being taught in school, by the way, in one way or another, because they're not being taught history. They're being taught, there's Zays and Zers and whatever, huge list of whatever acronyms people want to use for themselves. So that's another problem. The other one is white guilt. There's kids right now that we see adults that are riddled with white guilt. Again, going back to what I said earlier, you can be proud to be from, Mexico. You can be proud to be American Indian. You can be proud to be from Pakistan. You can be proud to be from anywhere, except if you say you're proud to be white, then you must be one of the Proud Boys and you must have a white gown at home with a pointy hat. It's bullshit, but that's what's being kind of disseminated throughout school. And I'll just say one thing, Coach, to what you were saying. You're right, and I had read part of an article the other day about that, about the minority ownership of the NFL, but 90% of the players are black. So does that mean that they're being racist to white players? No, it's just different, whatever. And then the argument that was actually being made there was for hockey and how there's not enough diversity in hockey players. It's just kind of crazy because, and the argument was made, well, if there's not enough diversity in hockey because there's not enough African Americans, then the same argument could be made for football, American football. There's not enough white people. There's not enough Hispanics. So we've got to be careful when we start to tread on those conversations. We need to get back to a meritocracy. If you're a great baseball player, you should play baseball, or, it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. If you're a great football player, it shouldn't matter. If you're a great student, you shouldn't get passed over for someone else from a different country, from a different sex, from a different religion, from a different whatever, because it should be meritocracy. It doesn't matter who that is and what that is. So we need to get away from the whole DEI thing. We need to get back to a meritocracy, because that'll start.
Hold on, because you're dropping these things in like they're truths. First of all, DEI wasn't about shifting racism. It was called opportunity. Opportunity for people to have equal opportunity. Now, hockey, I will say with hockey, hold on. I will say with hockey that I coached up in Northern Michigan. I don't want to live in the cold. I don't even want to go play in an ice hockey rink. Even though I had the opportunity, I grew up where I was using hockey skates all the time. I didn't want to stay there. I wanted to play the sports I wanted to play. So that's the difference. It's one thing, like, to use sports as the example is almost unfair to the sports, because that sport, especially because that sport is played in a place where the opportunity is not going to necessarily happen where there are no lakes. So we have to get to something a little different. But at the same time, sports, even with the division of football and the ownership not happening, you're starting to see the shifts, and ownership is beginning to happen. Like you're seeing that, which in my humble opinion, we can watch sports because it's the only thing that actually gave me a chance with history. Sports history leads the way for humanity's history. If you watch sports and how it changed over the years, how things began to shift, it starts to shift in humanity. And the problem with it is when someone isn't okay with the DEIs and the what's the affirmative action, when they aren't okay, and then they start to manipulate it. So then how did they manipulate affirmative action? They said, okay, we're going to make it for these people too, which was women. So then what did they do? All the guys that were in power did, they readdressed it and put the money back in their household. Because the number one person, if the affirmative action is taken care of, are white women. Mm-hmm. So you gotta actually go deeper than just the conversation. You gotta have a brain that just says, I'm looking at the whole picture. Because the whole picture says you took it away when we actually started getting to equal opportunity. Because equal opportunity in many ways in the world today, at least in the household I grew up in, you weren't allowed to be average, because average goes to a white guy. I wasn't allowed to be average. That's how I kicked down all these doors. I ain't average.
But you're right, because we shouldn't have average people in positions that are above average. I don't want an average pilot. I want the best pilot. I don't want the average air traffic controller.
Right, but that's not how it's ended up, right? Hold on, don't go beyond that, because I want to make sure we address that.
Let me just say one thing to what you said. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. All of these programs are started with the right idea, and then they get perverted and they get twisted.
Not all of them.
And then they go on. Then they go to. Hold on, I'm agreeing with you. I'm aligning with you. But then they gets distorted and corrupted, and then it gets refunded back to their household by putting their wife in the position. The minute a program gets corrupt, instead of adding more money to it, because obviously it's lack of funds that are a problem, which is not usually the problem, it needs to be stopped, or it needs to be corrected and brought back to what its initial intent was. Otherwise, the road to hell is paved with good intention. Every bloated, corrupt program that's being taken advantage of, misused with fraud and corruption, all started out as a great idea to help other people, and so we got to address that more than
okay. So now if we look at that in the scope of how it has been used, because we can look at and say, okay, we removed these pilots and people in the plane industry, And it became a white thing for a lot of those jobs, and planes started crashing, problems started happening. That's so real. On top of that, we can go all the way to the White House and say jobs don't even come close to covering the makeup of this country in the cabinet, because it came from a person who seems, no matter what people argue, we can go look at track record, that has a racist tendency. And because of that, we have problems, and a sexist tendency. And because of that, we have problems. And we could probably find, I'm sure he probably has a genderism tendency. And we have problems. We have to get rid of the evil. And the evil says, we can go back, I don't know how many episodes now, and say, release the damn files.
Release the files. But here's the thing: there's probably more women in this administration, more diversity in this administration than a prior administration.
Come on now.
Okay,
Don't tell that
hold
lie.
on. I gotta jump in there. Tony, I need to, if I have your permission, what is your definition of diversity in this administration?
Oh no, I started off by saying there's probably more women in the cabinet than there probably have been in the past.
But you actually said diversity. I'm gonna make sure I pull that clip.
Woman. Then I said diversity. Again, I don't know. These are I can't substantiate the numbers. I can look it up to see what it is. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But when it talks about women, because you said initially you said women, that's what I first went to. Is there's more women in positions of in his cabinet and other positions. There were more women in his companies, running companies and running divisions than many other companies globally. So that's a reality. That I know is a fact. I don't know about the diversity in his cabinet right now.
So then I'm going to ask again, then, Tony, what is your definition of diversity?
I think diversity is having different ideas, different people from different cultures, adding and contributing to what may be happening in the world. But do I think, or do in this country in particular, but also in global economics?
Hold on. I had to look it up. I got to cut in on this one. 2026, the U.S. cabinet has significantly fewer women and less racial diversity than in 2023. Those are facts. Okay. Don't manipulate the facts here. The facts, and I can see it on TV. I did because I already knew what the fact was. And so you brought in this thing that, it ain't true. We ain't got that here. And that's why we got other countries, many different reasons of why they want to go get that guy. Hey,
listen, I absolutely, I'm going to put my flag in the sand right now and say that's absolute bullshit for other countries to say they want to go after that guy. And I don't approve of anybody in here even saying that that's even any close to being okay. So to say that that's why other countries want him, like, to justify that shit is absolutely abhorrent, and I'm not here.
All right, Tony, let's get down more to your level. Hold on, let's get to your level. If somebody comes and drops a bomb in your house, what you gonna do? You're going to get them, right?
I'm going to try to get them.
All right, well then, what's the difference?
But you said other countries.
The bombs were dropped on the other countries.
Country that want to go after them. Listen, that's a different conversation than what we're talking about here. But
hey,
to say that.
Evil, bro. It's evil. Good versus evil. Where are you going to stand?
Listen, to say that other countries want to come get him and being okay with that position is not.
I'm saying it's good versus evil. And I don't give a darn what he looks like or who he runs for or how he leads or anything. If he's on the evil side of things, I'm standing on the side of good. I will err on that. I will stand with Jesus, and don't say Jesus would be anywhere near in the same boat as that guy.
I won't stand on Iran or any other Muslim Islamic nation. Not Muslim.
I'm going straight up, good versus evil.
It's all about oppressing its own people.
Bombing kids, good versus evil.
All of that.
Good versus evil. I get it. You don't err on that way. This is my stance, and I'm really cool with righteous freaking anger. A lot of people can't get okay with that. I'm at peace with righteous anger, which looks like you don't get to be an evil son of a bitch. And excuse me for the people that can't handle that. Excuse me for the kids that might be listening. You don't get to be that in my world.
I don't see him as that.
That's because you are okay with someone bombing your kids at your house.
But listen, you got to understand that for 37 years, was it? 37 years, they've been killing American soldiers. They've been killing their own people. They killed 40,000 of their own people this year because they oppose the government.
It don't work like that in my book. It don't work like that. I don't go back. I want to know what you're doing right now. Who you are right now. I'm not going to go back and look at that.
What you did in the past. You
What's
gotta
that?
care what happened in the past. Because if you don't care what happened in the past, why do you keep bringing up what Trump's past was?
I'm not bringing up the past. This stuff happens like tomorrow, yesterday. It will happen tomorrow. He already said it yesterday. He has been doing this for two, whatever they call it, campaigns. He's been in it. It ain't changed. This dude is the same person, and I don't give a rat's ass who doesn't like it. I don't care. So what? I don't care if you're in America, if you're in Iran, if you're in Egypt, and you're an evil son of a bitch, you need to go. Get off the earth. I wish God would take him home sooner than later.
And I'm going to push back and say, I don't think he is an evil son of a bitch.
Okay, cool, because you're cool with what is the potential of the Epstein files that he won't release.
Hold on. Let's back that train up a little bit. Obama had the files. Biden had the files.
See, there you go. You want to go back to the past? We don't need to go back to the past because one person has the files right now.
You can't. You don't get to do that, Sid. I know it's your show, but you don't get to do that.
Why not?
We can't look at the past because if you're saying this guy's so evil, that means that the guys before that didn't release it were evil.
If they really knew what was in it, yes, they were. See, only one person, for some reason, only one person is not in the files. Only one person not in the files.
Yeah, you're not in the files. I know I'm not in the files.
And neither is Obama.
Listen,
and neither is Obama.
I don't believe that. Just
you don't have to. You don't have to. Your guy has not come out and said it when he wanted to attack everybody. He hadn't come out and said it.
It's still the Democrats that are keeping it from being released. You know that, right?
Can I make a suggestion? Can we get off the political track for a moment?
Yeah, go for it.
And get back to good versus evil.
Right on. That is the most evil thing we got floating right now.
In a non-political.
Well, hold on. There's another evil in the UK. 250,000 girls raped for over the last 20 years, and everybody covered it up. The police, the MPs, the media, everything else. And by the way, our legacy media here still hasn't said a freaking word about it. So let's if we're going to start talking about things that matter, let's talk about those. Or does that not matter because it happened in the past, Sid? It matters. The past matters. What people did in the past matters. Holding people accountable for their sins matters, right?
Okay, so let's don't we can't keep we can go back to the past, but if we go back and trickle through that person's past, it's going to be a lot that matters. Like you got 34 freaking counts of women coming and testifying saying this is him. Yeah, but it doesn't matter to you evil some bitches.
Just because a woman says that doesn't make it true. I don't say that I don't believe women, but there's a lot of people that are out to do a lot of bad shit, number one.
Man.
Number two, I'm going to say it again.
We're talking about the same guy that went after some people and said we need to make sure they stay in jail.
Anybody saying the files, left or right, famous, not famous.
I got it. I know where you stand, and I'm cool with that. I see where you stand. I am an evil go person. Get rid of the evil. I get that you want to stand and defend evil because of something in the past with the evil motherfucker that is here today, and I'm not that guy.
By the way,
I won't even bring it up. I won't even care because you're doing it today. As soon as he's gone, I'm done with him. We can wipe it out. And hopefully whenever that time comes that he is gone, we get somebody in there that stands on good.
And I hope that when he's gone, it's because his term was over, not because somebody got him. I'm going to make sure to say that because I don't agree with anyone.
I don't know if he's going to make it through the term. But I don't know. I'm talking about somebody killing him. It's kind of terrible.
Look at this. How about America? A lot of evil people in power. How about world governments? A lot of evil people in power. Forget America. Everybody wants to trash America. Listen, America. For whatever you make, if you don't like it, the airports have flights going out every day. There's trains going to to Canada. There's trains going to Mexico, and there's boats going other places. So if you don't like it here, you can leave. But to say that can't.
Not everybody, because my people were born here. Let's get clear on that. My people were born here. Can't just leave. That ain't it. And you shouldn't. Them evil some bitches shouldn't be here in the first place. Stop that.
Right. I agree.
Stop. I'm not allowing on my show to defend evil. pedophiles. No, that shit ain't okay. It ain't okay. And I don't. You're not a good person to go on a TV show if you came here and said on this show, man, my daughter's so fine that if you said anything near that, I'd have to say, Tony, anybody, and I'm not saying Tony because I know you wouldn't say it. I'd say you got to go. You ain't part of my freaking life.
Agreed.
Ain't no way. So, but he's part of yours because he did say that. So you want to look at the past and look at the full past. He did say that, but yet you want to defend that guy. That's because that's where you stand. I don't stand with that evil bullshit.
Listen, first of all, I don't know everything.
And my grandma would be proud of me to sit here as the peace guy and say hell to the no. No.
Again,
no.
anybody
I get it. You're into defending, and a lot of people like you are into defending the pedophile.
I don't, but until you give me proof that he's a pedophile, Joe Biden.
All right, man. All I got to do is pull up. What's the guy's name at night?
Listen,
somebody's got to know the guy's name. Howard Stern. I'll pull up Howard Stern show and send it to you. Are you still going to support him? Because you should have seen it by now.
Joe Biden's daughter's diary said how he'd sneak in and take a shower with her when she was a teenager. Where was the outrage?
I'm not defending Joe Biden.
But listen, but what I'm saying is,
you are defending Donald Trump. Come on, man. You just
listen.
No, it's crazy.
So everyone's innocent until proven guilty except for Donald Trump. Gotcha. All right, we can move along.
No, actually, I'm not saying that. I'm saying flat out. Here's your voice. Grab her in the pussy. I'm saying flat out. My daughter, I was sleeping with my daughter. I'm saying flat. These are things that are real, but you defend it. You defend it. That's you. I want you to start looking in the freaking mirror.
I still believe, though, that he's probably the greatest president of our generation, if not.
Yeah, that's a belief system. That's a belief system.
Tony,
I'm never going to argue your belief system, but the facts are the facts. Dude is a pedophile.
I must ask,
at least in words alone.
Until you bring proof, that is not okay. It's not okay to say that because, again, there's a lot of people who's, by the way, musicians. The list has come out. There's lists that have come out. Actors, musicians, politicians, CEOs, athletes that are on this list. Where is everybody's anger directed to these people? Here's what's happening. They're desensitizing us for everyone except for Donald Trump.
I'm not desensitized.
He's had a target on his back ever since he came down the golden escalators. That's the reality. And if there was actual real proof, and if he was really on that list as much as people say, the Democrats would have burnt their own to make sure he wouldn't have gotten into power. Why did the list not get released? With everything they did to this man, every investigation they did, they went after him. They couldn't find anything, right? Everything was debunked. And then they got some hag from 27, 28 years ago. They opened up the law for a period of 6 months to file a lawsuit for something that happened in the past, because that's what happened, specifically to go after Trump, right? So then this hag came out and she's saying how this happened. I was wearing this dress, except that dress hadn't been made. That style dress hadn't been made for 5 years. So all of this happened, and the money she got was because he then came after her for defamation. By the way, that lawsuit was thrown out. There's a lot of stuff that was thrown out, but to sit here and say that he's a pedophile is disingenuous. It's freaking wrong.
Here's how messed up it is. This is how funny this really is, and we're gonna move forward. This is how funny it is. Facebook just closed this conversation. Facebook just closed this conversation on my thing. So somewhere the truth is hidden in the message of all of this. Somewhere.
It's still live on mine. I just commented, so it's still.
Yeah, but that's on yours. I'm not saying that. Mine is the one they're looking at straight. They closed mine twice. I restarted it, and I'm about to restart it again. But yeah, and it's okay. Like I'm good with. I appreciate your opinion of it, Tony.
And I like to have a good back and forth. So I ain't mad, by the way. It's just
right. I know we're gonna be friends.
Debate.
And some people are going to need to hear it the way they hear it. But I'm gonna pull something up because it's real. But Yeah, let's start. Jason was going to try to jump in. I didn't see it till late, but
Yeah, I texted him to see if he wanted to jump into the conversation.
I'm gonna, because we're a little bit past the top. I'm gonna put, if I got just one or two quick as I close out. So this is what I'm gonna give some calls to action for men and those who are watching. First suggestion: make a stand commitment. So write on a piece of paper, I stand for one blank blank blank, one thing. Then also write, I will not blank. So write down, for example, I stand for truth. I will not lie to protect my image. And then maybe another example, I stand for respect. I will not laugh at degrading jokes. Also, too, maybe have one act of moral courage this week. Apologize to someone you've hurt or avoided. Tell a hard truth that you've been dodging at work, home, etc. Also, be part of a group. Be part of a men's group. So I'll just leave it at that. Oh, one other thing. Have one conversation have one conversation where you only listen and support. No fixing, no flexing, just presence. I'm complete.
all right, give me 1 sec. I'm going to play this real quick.
Howard Stern of all people.
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody and she's like 21 and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra. And,
So what?
and it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30 is like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life experience.
Until she's 35.
Yeah. See, that's too much life
And
experience.
at 35, what is it at 35, Howard? It's called
I don't need to say anything else. See, for me, if you support that, you are supporting evil. And it's okay, because the devil needed somebody to come save the devil. That's just it. I won't do it. Not on my show, not on my watch, not on my anything. I can't get down with that. And all the people that want to defend it, you're okay defending that. And that's not it. Don't call yourself reading the Bible and living the Bible, because that's a lie. Because that doesn't even fit in the Bible. It just doesn't fit. So to defend that and act like you didn't see it, you can't now. Because if you saw the show, you saw it. The guy is talking about his daughter on her beauty and being okay, and it's a little too young. No, bro, we've seen you kissing people. It ain't okay. It's real. Stop, everybody. Stop defending this evil. And if it ain't evil, let it show up as good. If it's not evil, like I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with forgiveness. They teach it. I don't have a problem with the compassion. But when you're evil, got to go. Me and the devil got a long history. I ain't playing. I'm coming. That's real for me. And anything that looks like it. So I'm okay dismissing racism. But when it's good or evil, I'm choosing good. And that means racism got to go too. That's real for me. Like that, it just shows up like that. And I appreciate this conversation. And a lot of other people wanted to hear it too, because the numbers started hitting high. So it's a conversation we really need to have. And we really need to start getting clear on, are you standing with good or evil? And just getting solid with that. You heard it. And now I could go play more. And it'll be grab her. And it's
send me that link. I want to hear it. Send me that link. I haven't seen it. I'm
going to send it to you.
By the way, if you do like this conversation and you guys want to jump in, we have on Thursdays, I have that show on Clubhouse that Sid knows. On Thursdays, we call it Third Rail Thursdays. You don't touch a third rail. Conversations nobody ever wants to have. We have them on Thursdays. So this back and forth banter of, politics and religion and sexuality. And
there's too many people in there defending evil, though, for me. That's why I've stopped coming. Too many people defending evil.
Well, like I said,
At some point, we got to really, this is what this conversation is about. Like, we got to really say, I'm going to stand 10 toes down. It's a hill I will die for, good over evil.
Well, and I'll say this as my final thought, because I put it in the chat before, is this: if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So I'm with Dr. Vibe. What are your non-negotiables? What do you stand for, and what do you stand against, and what won't you stand for? Right? Just like you heard me, this is not the first time that I've come in and stopped someone by saying, wait, stop. The person isn't here to defend themselves. It's not okay to go after someone that doesn't defend themselves. Just like it's not okay to say, that's why so many people, want them, like a matter of fact, and like it's okay that a lot of people want them gone. I'm not okay with that, because I never said that about Obama. I never said that about Biden or anyone else. So it's not okay to engage in those conversations. With that said, I think that if someone that you disagree with is being charged with something, it's not okay to make him automatically guilty. We have due process. So to label somebody something that hasn't been proven without real proof, yeah, there's an audio clip of whatever happened on Howard Stern. It's just the way that Howard Stern's show always goes, regardless. But you and again, to you can't, if you can't go to the past. I mean, it's a delicate balance. But just know this: don't just listen to legacy media. Go check out other sources. Do your own research. Dig a little deeper, because the truth is not usually what's presented at the surface, at full level. I have arguments with ChatGPT all the time, and it takes me 3-4 questions of digging deep to get some kind of real answer. And it says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did give you a surface answer." Well, we got to stop looking just at surface. We got to go a little deeper. Sometimes it's going into your own mind, your own heart, and seeing why people are doing what they're doing. Just like what we said before, you may see somebody driving, you got to say, well, why is that person? What's going on? Maybe they're going to hospital. Maybe something just happened. So I yield. Thanks for having me again.
Coach, what you got? Close us up.
Man, great conversation, man. And like Dr. Vibe, I want to do a challenge to the men that are listening. Okay, man, we're called to protect. We're called to provide and tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So the kids and the people and the community are watching how you respond to racism, injustice, and corruption. I heard what Tony stated in regards to, due process, but at the same time, and you can tell the fruit that people bear based off their actions and things that have been said. And I asked earlier, and I didn't get a chance to get an answer from you, Tony, when I asked if you had daughters. Just based off the things I've heard, the commander-in-chief, the president state, there's nothing good about that, man. I have 3 daughters, and I've never looked and even considered saying some of the things he have said about his own daughter. So that right there in itself, and based off all the allegations, to me, that's evil in itself. But nevertheless, real men, we just don't talk about problems. And I love this platform, Sid. Thank you for letting us be a part of it, because we become part of the solution. We become part of the solution in our homes, in our churches, even in politics. But the question is not is evil is here. The question is, would you stand up for what's right when the time comes? I'm complete.
100%. If I can just say,
oh, no, we don't have time. We got to go. No. Tony, we don't have time.
Bullshit, and you put.
All right, here we go. Thank you all for tuning in. I hate to do that to Tony, but sometimes you got to do that to Tony. We got to go. And here's the thing. In the story, at the end of the day, we got to stand for good, or we'll continue to have all this evil in the world. That's it. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I think everybody watching, most people around the world would say pedophilia is not okay. So stand for it. Stand for kids getting free. Stand for women having a voice. Stand for all the things that elevate humanity. And the rest of it got to go. Not on my watch. It's time to move on from that stuff. It's time to move on. Ah, man, my buddy Jason just got here. We'll bring him up in the green room. We're going to have to get him on the next show, because it's a conversation. Like, are you standing for good or not? And then when someone gives you something that's real, we know where you're really standing if you don't stand on getting it out. 10 toes down, stand for good. What would Jesus do? Ask yourself. Like, there's 2.9 billion Christians in the world. So what would Jesus do to all this crap going on? And if you can't do what he does and what he says, you're not following Jesus. All right, it's time to embrace peace. Peace.
I've been at peace for so long. It seems like I've been sitting all alone. Would you know when the crew is coming through? They're the ones that will make anew. Gotta go, gotta flow, gotta choose the truth. We the ones that will raise the roof. Let's roll up and throw down. Let's go and feel the sound. Good vibes, one tribe. Can you feel me now? Be you, be me, be free. Go and take it till we bounce the beat. Take it to the streets, make a move the feet. I can slow it down, look in my eyes now. Just like you two want it fast. Spread them wings and make it last. God was the one to erase the past. Time to bring it forward and see the forecast. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Lift your dreams and fill the glass. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Lift your dreams and fill the glass. That was God's broadcast. That was God's broadcast. Time to embrace the peace. Time to embrace the peace.